Thank you to all of those who've given us those insights into what's been achieved, but more importantly, how to take that forward, how those services are now ready for use, how they can be approached, how they can be put into practice where they're needed to fill some of those gaps that we heard about. So now, what about the next generation, expanding the network? We're going to hear now from the young investigators community. Over to Marloes Jonkers to tell us more about it. Welcome.
Thank you. Let's see if I need to direct it somewhere. Thank you. All right. So my name is Marloes Jonkers. I work for the Dutch National Hub, PET-MED-NL, and I'm here to talk to you about the Young Investigators Community, or the YIC, which is a community that was not founded at the start of the C4C project, but it was established when some of the young investigators and young research professionals within C4C felt that there was a need to get connected more deeply with each other. I think many of us have been early in our careers in a similar position where you're diving into something new, and not all of the theoretic background that you bring can help you with some challenges that you're facing in practice in your first jobs. And I think this is what also happened in C4C. We had also a young community, or young professionals in C4C, which were trying to find their way into the project. And when you're starting your career in an organization that's already running for some time, you always have experienced colleagues who could give you advice, who you run into during lunch breaks, and you can share ideas with. And it's a valuable contribution to the work that you do, to learn and to put your knowledge into practice. But in C4C, the project, of course, we were building something new, and you don't have those experienced colleagues who can direct you and explain you, oh, this is how you should do this, because we're all trying to set up something new and build this network from scratch. But for the young investigators and for the young professionals in our network, they really found some difficulties in finding the right people to share their ideas or express their concerns or uncertainties with. So there were actually there was a wish for them to get connected and to meet each other on a more personal level as well, to share those thoughts and to share experiences with each other. The difficulty that we faced was that we were also entering the pandemic, the COVID pandemic, which resulted in that we couldn't meet each other face-to-face anymore. So that's made it even more difficult to find those people to get connected with and to feel engaged with the community and to really voice your opinions on what you as a young professional could bring to the C4C project. And this is something that my former colleague at the Dutch National Hub, PET-MED, realized when she met up with a colleague from the Belgium Hub, BPCRN. They met up in person during the pandemic at some time then when the restrictions did allow to meet each other outside. And I realized that this connection that they created while meeting each other in person was so valuable. They realized they had the same struggles that they were dealing with, and they got to resolve an issue that was ongoing for some time in less than an hour. So they realized this physical, personal connection is quite valuable to develop yourself and to move forward in the project. And that's when the YIC was founded. They wanted to expand this connection and this community feeling across all of the hubs and within C4C. So they reached out to the national hubs to see if there's anyone else in those national hubs who could also benefit from having that closer interaction. So for anyone new in C4C, we built an onboarding program for them to get to know what C4C does, where we're coming from, where we're heading, and also what the YIC can offer for them. So what does the YIC do? Well, I have to tell you, I've only got involved in March this year, so I wasn't there from the start. But as I said, those young people, young investigators were trying to find each other, to share ideas. And so when they were forming that community, they were starting off with sessions to, first of all, get to know each other. So there were informal sessions, not really related to C4C all the time, but also to get connected on a personal level, which is, I think, very important to feel welcome and to feel engaged with your community, with your work and your colleagues. Besides that, they also had more formal sessions to discuss topics that came up during the development of C4C. They were discussing how the hubs are organizing themselves to learn from each other and to also implement it in their own local networks. We also then had sessions from external speakers, for instance, from industry, who could shed light and inspire people within our network on how the clinical network is working and how to move forward in the future. And we also had open sessions with young investigators outside of C4C, PhD students who are really the future, of course, for our clinical research in the future. So this is the team. So as I said, it was formed during the COVID pandemic. They had really strong connections due to those informal and formal sessions online. But this was the first time they actually got together when those restrictions were lifted. So they even strengthened their relationship even further. So the benefits of our community is really to get in touch with each other, to feel welcome, to have this platform to share thoughts, insecurities, any doubts, to feel, to have that feeling to really speak up what crosses your mind. It creates this colleague work floor environment, and it also brings new connections and network opportunities for people to really, learn more from each other and know who can support you in your own development. I briefly touched upon the mentorship program. This is something that was introduced a little bit later on during the YIC development. So when the community was investigating what they really could offer to their members, they were investigating what is it that you want to learn, and maybe we can connect you to someone that can give you advice on those topics. The idea came to create a mentorship program where members could complete an intake form where they could indicate which topics they had experience in, but also what they want to learn more about. And then this was used to match the younger professionals with other people within C4C who could teach them more about that subject. And we had 12 unique pairs with 23 participants. And in the first pie chart, you can see the topics on which those people were matched together. And the idea was that those couples could have several one-on-one sessions with each other to really mentor the other person into this topic. And in the other pie chart, you can see the backgrounds of all of those participants. And you can see that they're coming from industry, academia, regulatory backgrounds. So that's, I think, is a good basis to you really get to understand and learn from each other, each other's opinions. The mentorship program happened last year, and in the last few months, Eva, one of the founders of our community, has been evaluating this by interviewing the participants of the mentorship program, and we were really happy to see that most of the respondents, or actually all of them, were very positive about the program. There has been a lot of teaching and engagement of the community to really expand their knowledge on certain areas. And all of them actually also agreed that it's valuable to continue this program. We also had some recommendations for the future, for instance, to only focus on one topic in those mentor sessions and to give a bit more structure to those sessions. So that's something we could further take with us for the future. And besides that, we also had a more broader evaluation of our community, which was part of the more general evaluation of C4C. So we had respondents not only from the YIC members themselves, but also outside of that. And from, I think, about 50 respondents, we only saw a small percentage of people who actually haven't heard of YIC. So maybe there's some room for us to become more visible. Yes, so you can see half of the respondents are participants and some of them haven't. And in this evaluation, we didn't actually ask for positive feedback, we only asked for improvements, but it was good to see that we also got some positive responses that really showed the value of having this community in C4C, to share experiences and to really engage the young professionals for the future. So also here we had some suggestions which we will take into account. Not all of them are new for us. We understand that it's important to become visible, to be available for the new generation. And also the identity of our community. As I said, I'm speaking about young investigators, but also young research professionals, because we're certainly not only focused on the new investigators. Quite a large portion of our community is also the trial managers in the national hubs. So it's also, I think, it's also a valuable community for those young professionals that are, supporting the research from that part. So it's also important to distinguish between activities that we can do for that part of our community and also for the investigators in the community. And there's also suggestions to expand our community to investigators from outside, from the sites, to also get them involved and enthusiastic about clinical research with C4C. So that brings me to the next steps. So as I said, it's great to see that out of those evaluations that people really feel that there's added value for having this community in place, and that there's also room to expand. So we're already investigating to see if we can distinguish between sessions that we can offer to our national hub colleagues and sessions for investigators. And also to see if we can maybe also expand our mentorship program to the external investigators to really get them also involved in the work that we do with C4C, because those people are the ones that are going to bring us further and that we need in the future to continue the work that we do with C4C. So that's, I think it brings me to the conclusion of my presentation. If you're interested in joining our community, or if you have suggestions for us, you're more than welcome to reach out to us. Thank you.